Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody, and give a minute for people to show up. See if this is showing up um, over up on my page, maybe not. I think if I am um, I think if I'm the host, it doesn't show up on like my own page. But that is okay. So anyway, I am happy to be here with everybody. I know people are watching this in replay, so our replay numbers are really high, which is really gratifying. I know it can be hard. It's 9 o'clock over on the West Coast, and it's noon here on the East Coast, and people are people are busy, and I totally get it. So anyway, welcome to everybody. Everybody's watching over on the Proving Box. I'm glad you're here, and I am coming to you today for our noonday coaching because it's Thursday, and the news is coming at us fast and furious. We all know what the news is, and I am noticing with a lot of people that I am talking to that they are balancing emotions, okay? Because we are human beings having a human experience, and human beings have emotions, right? And the emotion I want to talk about today, because it'll come up. You do your thought downloads, and you figure out what your circumstances are, like what are the facts of your life and things like that. And you do a moderate amount of thinking, and you allow yourself to, give yourself permission to feel your fear. Almost what will happen after you give yourself permission to feel your fear is that shame is going to come up. Okay? I am noticing shame with my fellow mothers about having the kids home. All right? Being around their spouse 24/7. I am noticing shame with fellow business owners. Shame about who they have to lay off. Shame that they need to hire people. Shame that they don't know how to better be in control. And so today we're going to talk about shame and how I deal with shame and what is shame and how do we as a society come to grips with this, okay? And I want to start out by talking about some of our societal expectations and conversations about shame, and how I have learned to deal with it. So in my traversing on this earth, I've been around for 45 and some odd years. I'm going to turn 46 this summer. I've had a lot of interactions with shame because I'm a human being, okay? And there are a couple of things that happen with shame. Shame is one of those emotions that really distances us from other people. We use shame in our own selves as a way of cutting off our own connection, okay? And what do I mean by that? If you think about the last time you were burning with humiliation, try and think about how connected you were to what was going on in your body. And I want to introduce you, can't believe I'm doing this, I want to introduce you to the dogs, okay? Now, I share this with my coaching clients in the coaching, like one-on-one coaching relationship, and I'm going to be super brave today, and I'm going to share with you the dogs of my being, okay? So, as many of you know, I'm a veterinarian, and there are 3 dogs that are walking around in my psyche, okay? And the first dog is a poodle, okay? And you'll notice my hair is nice curly, right? The poodle is like a yapping poodle, okay? That poodle is like that poodle lives like here, okay? From like shoulders and above. And is my brain going in overdrive around any number of different thoughts, including shame. Okay. From here to here, so like from the bottom of my lungs to like the top of my lungs, I have a Jack Russell Terrier. Okay. And the Jack Russell Terrier, if any of you have known them, are like, they are this big, but they are like large and in charge. And they bark, like that incessant barking. Not like you're calm when your Jack Russell Terrier is being calm, okay? I'm talking about an amped up state, okay? And that's my Jack Russell Terrier, okay? And I know when I'm coming from my Jack Russell energy because my energy is all coming from my lungs. And then I have the German Shepherd. So for those of you who know me, you know I have German Shepherds. You may know that Andrew, for our wedding, gave me an oil portrait of my Mädchen Xenia, my little Mädchen, who was my very first German Shepherd. She was my soul dog. May you all be blessed with a soul dog in your life. And my soul dog, my Mädchen Xenia, still lives with me, and she lives in my belly. Okay? And for those, I have tremendous experience with German Shepherds. I have owned them. I have doctored them as a military veterinarian. And I have seen them working at their peak performance. And I've seen what happens when their minds get broken by people. Okay. I'm very into my inner German Shepherd, right? So those are the three dogs. And I identify my feelings a lot by the visualization of the poodle and what she's doing, the Jack Russell Terrier and what he's doing, and what the German Shepherd wants me to be doing, okay? And I know when I'm out there understanding that, for example, these videos are reaching hundreds of people who need them. Hundreds of people who need them. And it's so gratifying. I feel that here in my belly. Okay? I feel that as a powerful light energy in my belly that goes up. And it's my German Shepherd talking to the other dogs saying, will you please calm down? Okay? Because in my head, the poodle is like, oh my god, nobody can show up, nobody show up, nobody show up, nobody show up, right? So the poodle is yapping, 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 right? And the Jack Russell Terrier is like, you have to be smart, Michelle, you have to say the exact right thing. And the German Shepherd is saying, you have to show up and share your heart, Michelle. And if you show up and you share your heart, we can do anything. And I want to give you the opportunity to think about how that construct, and it may not be dogs, okay, I see who's on the call, and it may not be dogs, right, but how those kinds of constructs and where your energy is coming from. Because when we're in shame and shame energy, when I am in shame energy, the Jack Russell Terrier and the poodle are working overtime. They are shouting at me, and they are convinced that the world is the end. And the German Shepherd joins in, okay? And being a neurotic German Shepherd, if you've ever met a neurotic German Shepherd, okay? And it feels awful, okay? It literally feels awful. Like I have sensations in my body. Feelings create sensations in our body that allow us to recognize that we are actually having feelings. And if I turn and face the truth of my feelings, my brain is in panic when I'm in shame. And not only do I feel the shame, I feel the fear of the shame, which just ramps all the dogs up even more. And it's not a lot of fun. But when I was doing my self-coaching this week, and I was talking with people, and I was out there holding the space, okay? Because right now, there are so many people who are so unsure of things. The greatest gift that we can give ourselves, and we can give the people around us, is the gift of space to think their own thoughts, okay? And for us to give ourselves space. Because when I give myself the space and I recognize I'm completely humiliated because I had a client tell me that they can't believe that I charged that much for my services, right? And I hear that, and my people-pleasing self says, oh my God, they must be right. I will tell you, my people-pleasing self is my poodle, okay? And then I dive into a shame spiral that says, oh, they must be right. And then I start gathering evidence. Remember how we talked about gathering evidence that this person is right? Because the only thing I can think of in that moment is my shame and all of the things that I have done that I wish I hadn't done. And then I create a result of, now, I'm not saying don't do that, okay? I'm saying allow yourself the space to understand that shame is going to come. You're going to yell at your kids. You're going to be short with your family. You're going to be frustrated with the cashier. The more you resist that you're feeling terrible about this situation, the more terrible you're going to feel. And one of the most terrible feelings we can feel as human beings is shame and humiliation. Because it distances ourselves from the love that we have for ourselves and proves our own unworthiness. And our brain loves our story of unworthiness, and it's utterly untrue. I am 100% worthy. You are 100% worthy. Everybody, by virtue of being a human being on this planet, is 100% worthy. And there are people on this call who are going to argue with me. And you know what? I would ask you, if you are thinking somebody else is unworthy, that may or may not be true. And the question is how does that make you feel? If you're wicked pissed off at President Trump, it affects him not at all. If you're pissed off at your kids and you're yelling at your kids, you look deranged to your children. And it is affecting them because they're the brunt of your wrath and they're like 3 feet in front of you, right? And most parents will recognize that after we finish unloading on our children and recognize, oops, that's not how I want to be and who I want to be, right? And when we ask ourselves those questions, how do I want to be and who do I want to be? Do you want to be somebody who uses judgment to try and get yourself out of shame? Because you can do that for a long time. We call that a productive negative emotion. People get a lot of stuff done in their lives because of judgment. It is a productive negative emotion that leaves us all feeling terrible. Or instead, do you want to be in a space where you allow yourself to feel a shame storm, okay, without running away from it? Because you know that it is just your inner poodle and your inner Jack Russell Terrier and your neurotic German Shepherd going bananas, and this too shall pass, right? Because a shame storm passes. Anybody who has lived through middle school will tell you a shame storm passes, right? When you're in 8th grade and all of your friends stop talking to you, and you think it can only be your fault, that shame storm passes, all right? The people who you have to let go. I am not saying don't feel badly about it. I am saying don't judge yourself for feeling badly about it, and if you feel shame over it, don't judge yourself for that shame, okay? Because you have been conditioned. We are conditioned. We have a whole phrase. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I have excised that phrase. I'm not gonna lie, I've used it with my kids. I have excised that phrase from my con. Excised it from the house. We don't talk about it. There are plenty of parents who parent through shame. There are plenty of companies that employ people in shame and use shame as a tactic. And I would ask you to think about, is that creating the results in your life that you want to create? Because you're not going to have a shame-free existence, all right? If you look at the FDR quote from The Man in the Arena, which I urge, if you haven't gone and read it, go Google, after this, Google The Man in the Arena, FDR, all right? And ask yourself if you ever really want to be in the cheap seats. Because you know what? The folks in the cheap seats, they also feel shame. Okay? They just project it out on everybody else. Would you rather be down in the arena wrestling with the rest of us, wrestling with our humanness, bringing ourselves up, getting up out of the mud and knowing that we are dirty and knowing that that doesn't mean anything about who we are as people? Because it doesn't mean anything about who we are as people. And so when I am dealing with shame, when I'm helping my kids deal with shame, when I'm talking with Andrew about shame, because we are all humans having a human experience and we all have shame, I ask a couple of questions that I want to give you, okay? And my first question is where is the shame living in your body? And my kids will, depending on how receptive they are to this, my kids will normally say somewhere like kind of from here to here. Okay? In maybe it's genetic, but in my body, my shame mostly lives, like the feelings of shame live from here to here. But the thoughts about it are all up in my head. And then I ask them, okay, what color is it? My shame is gray. How thick or how thin is it? It's a thick gray cloud. What's its texture? All right? Is it something that expands and contracts when you breathe? And you can actually do that for any feeling, the positive feelings and the negative feelings. You could ask yourself the same thing about joy. What does joy look like in your body? What sensations does joy create in your body? What does it look like? Is it hard? Is it soft? Does it have sharp edges? Does it have rounded edges? What color is it? What texture is it? Allowing yourself to depict your feelings like that, all right, is a methodology that I learned from my coaches that allows you to step out of your brain where your thoughts about shame are created and allows you to focus literally somewhere else in your body to give you the space to say, thank you, shame. I see you and I hear you, shame. And what you're saying may or may not be true. All right? And even just that little bit of mental space between you and your shame will start to dissipate the shame, okay? And allow you to understand that you are not your shame. You are not the trauma energy that your brain is creating. It's a neural pathway. It is the information superhighway in your brain. Because what your brain thinks is that if I make you scared, you're never going to go do anything scary. You're always going to be back. You never have to get into the arena. Whatever metaphor you want to use, you never have to leave the cave. If I make you scared, then nothing bad will ever happen to us. And that was a super useful, way of being 25,000 years ago when we were evolving, right? Because if we never leave the cave, we're not going to be eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. But if we never leave the cave, we're also never going to eat. Okay, and our brains have evolved so that we can balance that. And my recommendation to you is to learn that balancing system and give yourself an opportunity. Do you want to start with shame? Maybe not. But that's the predominant feeling that I am seeing from my customers, from my friends, coming out, that I feel like I should be better at this. And I'm ashamed I'm not. I should be better at staying home with my kids. Isn't that what I'm supposed to want? Right? And when you allow yourself to actually have those conversations and you give yourself some distance and you allow yourself to pause and say, that may or may not be true. it might not be what you want. Okay? Just because you have somebody in your life and they're short, okay, and they're less developed and you gave birth to them or took part in it, doesn't mean you want to see them 24/7, and that's okay. That's okay, but you can't allow yourself, like, you'll never allow, not you can't, but you'll never allow yourself that conversation unless you've recognized that you're having it and you step in towards the shame. You step in towards the discomfort. And you decide one of the things that you want to do in your human, your one wild and human life, as Mary Oliver says. Stepping into the discomfort allows you to recognize your full humanity and allows you to feel the discomfort so that when you feel the joy and when you feel the happiness, it is actually all there. And that's what stands on the other side of feeling such a terrifying emotion as shame or humiliation. The vulnerability that you teach yourself when you use the tools that I've taught you, naming feelings, giving yourself permission to feel your feelings, doing a water diagram so that you're turning and facing the truth of your feelings, okay? Drawing a picture, like with my kids, I literally have them draw a picture of their shame because it gets it out onto a piece of paper, right? Like, I kid you not, writing is now's the time, my friends, to start writing, okay? Get all of those thoughts and feelings out onto a piece of paper because the world needs you and the world needs your creativity right now. They need your solutions to problems. They need your connection. Even if you think you have no solutions to anybody's problems, that is not true, okay? I don't care who you are. There are going to be hundreds of people listening to this. You have solutions, whether it's for your family, for yourself, for your community, for your business, for whatever. You have solutions to problems. I promise. You have solutions to problems. And when you allow yourself your negative feelings, you will have access to those thoughts because your brain will be freed up. When you stand up and dust yourself off in that arena and you wave to the people in the cheap seats, which is your poodle in your brain, or at least in me, it's my poodle in my brain, saying, you know, you're doing it wrong. It's kind of one of her favorite things to say. You dust yourself off and you say, thanks, I see you, I hear you. What you're saying may or may not be true, right? You can go and you can turn and you can be in the service that the universe is calling you to be. If anything is happening right now, we are being called to be in friends who are doctors, who are nurses, who are out there on the front lines, trying to figure this out. There are restaurateurs that all of a sudden have no employees and empty restaurants, and what are they going to do? And they are out there trying to figure this out for their people because we as human beings were made for this moment. The life we have had since the Civil War in the United States and the modern era is a speck of how humans have existed, right? It's a speck. Pandemic events have happened in human history, even within the past 250 years, all right? They are terrible, traumatizing events. They are events where we lose valuable members of our communities. They are events where I want to say bad things happen, because they do, okay? But if we are more able to be in tune with the negative feelings we're already having, we can take a look at those events and we can decide whether or not they are going to affect us and how, because we can decide how do you want to be right now and who do you want to be right now. Okay? And when you are deciding that from a place in the front of your brain, like your prefrontal cortex, your highest ability, that automatically calms down the poodle, it calms down the Jack Russell Terrier, And it calms down the German Shepherd and allows your energy, like, and the seat of your power, which is probably down here for most of us, okay? The seat of your power to actually come forth and solve problems the way you know that you need to solve them, whatever your problems are. And all problems are problems worth solving. There are not bigger problems or smaller problems or whatever, because all of our problems are solved in like the immediate now, right? With ideas and decision making now. But if you're in the middle of a shame storm, you are not making decisions. And what the world needs right now is decision makers. The kids need decision makers. The spouses that are like all of a sudden together 24/7, decision makers. Your communities, your synagogues, your churches need decision makers. And you can be that if you allow yourself to have your negative emotions, give yourself permission for them, and know that they're not going to kill you. Because I promise you, your negative emotions are not going to kill you. Alrighty? So that's what I've got for you today. Thank you so much for joining in. I will be back here tomorrow for episode 6, and we have lots and lots of good stuff to cover over the next 30 days. It is my honor to be here with you. If you think this is going to be helpful for somebody, share that I am doing this, okay? All of these videos are going up on the YouTube channel, so you'll be able to share the YouTube channel. And it is my honor to be here right now, able to share the journey that I have been on, that I am going on with you, so that you can feel better. And feeling better right now is a really good thing. All right. Thanks, everybody. You're amazing, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.